Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, hello, how are you? My name is Vanessa, I like to talk about books. Today I'm just going to be doing a short August TBR. It is Leo season and I'm feeling very ambitious. My birthday is 2 weeks today and 3 more parcels have came since 2 videos ago I was crying over having birthday presents. An extra 3 have come and still no one's come forward to say who they're off. The pile now is absolutely humongous. I'm kind of scared for the door to knock every day. I can't wait for 2 weeks time when I can actually finally open these. Just looking at them, I absolutely need to know what they are. I stare at them all the time wondering what could they possibly be, because I have like 100 books on my Amazon wish list. My dad wanted to get me a present this year. I sent him that list and he was just like, what is this? But thank you to anyone who has sent me one of these presents. I'm absolutely speechless. I can't wait to turn 27 now, and that's something I thought I would never say. I'm also looking for feedback on my makeup today because I am trying out different wedding makeup looks. I'm not too set on this lip colour though, but if we don't reverse lockdown any further than what we're already doing as of yesterday, I should still be getting married 5 weeks tomorrow, which is kind of scary. So I am carrying over the Deathless Girls, which I am currently reading into this month. I'm hoping to get it finished today. And I'm also carrying over 100,000 Kingdoms, which I spoke about in my last TBR but didn't get around to reading. I will be getting around to this one as soon as the Deathless Girls is finished. I think it'll only take me a couple of days to read and then we'll go straight on to the new books to add for August. So I have 6 books to add to my August TBR. I'm not being too ambitious because obviously I might have to like organise a wedding from scratch if they say in the next 5 weeks that receptions of 30 people are now allowed. Pray for me. If anyone would like to see someone planning and arranging a wedding within the space of a couple of weeks as well, let me know. I feel like that's something that a chaotic Leo would not be very good at. So, 6 books. 3 of them I've picked myself and 3 of them you guys have picked over on Twitter today when I couldn't pick what I wanted to read. So I picked out 12 books and put out 3 polls with 4 of the books in. And the ones that I secretly wanted to win didn't win. They actually done very bad. So I've got a very interesting TBR this month. It's all over the place. The books you picked are also all over the genres as well. I thought it would be a little bit more cohesive, but it's not. But I'm surprised. I like the diversity. Did someone just die? So first up we have book 2 in the Heroes of Olympus series. I'm assuming this is book 2. It doesn't actually say anywhere what number the books are and I can't be bothered to Google it. But I'm going off the theory that this book is green and the second book in the Percy Jackson series was also green. That could just be total coincidence. I read book 1 last month and you'll know that if you watch my latest video where I also said that I didn't like the first book as much as any of the books in the Percy Jackson series and I just wasn't feeling it as much. I wasn't loving it as much, but I do hope that maybe the first one was just setting out the overall plot and then introducing the new characters, and hopefully it'll start picking up in this one. I do believe some of my favourite characters may be playing a bigger part in this book than they did in the last book. Some of them didn't even make an appearance in the last book, so even if we get a mention of them in here, I think it'll boost how I feel about this book. The Heroes of Olympus is set in the Percy Jackson universe and it is after the events of the original series. It's not necessarily a follow-on plot, but it does use sort of like a theme that was mentioned in the last book of the Percy Jackson series, which sort of set up for this book coming out. The Greek gods exist in this world, but they also take on a Roman god persona. They're supposed to be of the same person, but they are different people, if that makes sense. It probably won't make sense because I don't even know how it makes sense in my head, but that was something that really, I don't know, that I couldn't quite grasp when I was reading the first one, and that's partially why I struggled. I'm just not quite sold on the 3 new main characters yet, but we'll see how it goes. I am looking forward to getting around to reading it. It is the same length as the first book, and the first book took me about a week to read just because I wasn't really enjoying it a lot. But this is still like 500 pages. So that's still an ambitious book to have in a TBR for 1 month. Next is A Winter's Promise. I did have this in my last video because I mentioned that I was gifted this one last month. So this is a new book. This is a YA fantasy. Again, it is quite lengthy, more lengthy than I expected, coming in at again nearly 500 pages. And this is book 1 in the Mirror Visitor series. This is a book that was originally in French and was a bestseller and then got translated into other languages. But I've heard nothing but good things about it. I honestly can't tell you what this book is about because I'm struggling to grasp myself what it's about. It's been described to me as a whimsical fantasy where the main character is sort of like mischievous but genius, and she's promised in marriage to someone else from a different arc, which is what the world is. But that's like all I know about it. I don't know where it may go. I'm so intrigued by it that I think I'm going to do an individual review for this book, which is quite rare for me to sit and do an individual review. But because I don't know much about it and because I don't really understand it very well, I think I'm going to do an individual review so I can talk more about what this book is actually about and what I think of it. It absolutely does have one of the most stunning covers that I've ever seen though. But again, that's another quite lengthy book. Next, and finally that I picked up for myself, is Siege of Storm, which is book 2 in the Grisha series. I read book 1 about 5 years ago and really didn't like it, but I'd also purchased this one at the same time and I just forgot that I had them. And then I came across them again and thought to myself, I either need to reread the first one to try and give the second one a go, or I just need to get rid of them altogether. And not wanting to waste the money that I'd spent on this book, I decided to read Shadow and Bone again last month. But upon rereading it, I actually enjoyed it a hell of a lot more and decided that I did want to read book 2. It's the same length as the first one, and the first one only took me 2 days to reread, so I am going to pick this and read this up because I think I can read it in a full weekend day if I sit down and give it a really good go. This book series is about a girl who lives in a world where there are normal human beings and there is Grisha, who are magical humans that possess some sort of ability to work with elements or work with materials to do special and powerful things. They're not as powerful as what they used to be. They're now under the thumb of the king, but there is one Grisha that stands out as most powerful than the rest of them, and he's called the Darkling. And the Darkling has the ability to conjure darkness. There's a whole history of Grisha that have that power and how they're bad and they've done bad, and he seems to be trying to correct the mistakes of the past. Our main character, Alina, she starts to show in her later life that she may be a powerful Grisha herself, and she goes to stay with the rest of the Grisha and everything kicks off. This is the typical YA girl doesn't realise she's powerful, doesn't want to be powerful, has to save the world kind of trope. But I am looking forward to seeing the direction that this series takes and to know whether I actually still enjoy it as I'm reading further into it. I also realised that if I enjoy it, I need to find this copy of Ruin and Rising because the covers have changed so much since I bought them in 2014-15 and they don't look anywhere near as nice as this now. I love these Russian style covers and the red version of Ruin and Rising looks amazing, and I'm guessing they don't make them anymore. Okay, so moving on to the books that you guys picked out for me. The first poll that I put up, the 4 books in that category were The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which was going to be a reread, Circe, and Anarchy. And this was the results. As you can see, it wasn't close at all. I was going to say it was, but it wasn't. Circe won by a landslide. Circe is an adult fantasy book written by Madeline Miller, and this book is set in Greek mythology. I'm kind of excited because the only Greek mythology I've read in fiction, I believe, is the Percy Jackson series. And when I've been reading the back of this, I'm recognising a lot of the names out of the Percy Jackson series because Circe is in that as well as a character. She is the daughter of a titan who displays dark, powerful magic, and she becomes a threat to the gods and they banish her to an island. She does eventually come across Odysseus, who is her love interest, and she's willing to take a lot of risks to keep their love going. As with all Greek mythology retellings, this is a book about family rivalry. I've heard a lot of mixed things about this book. People seem to either really like it or really don't like it. A lot of people recently have just been DNFing this book, which I'm very scared about, but it does look pretty short. But I've not been reading a lot of adult books lately because that's just not the mood I'm in. So I'm pretty scared about this one. This was probably the one I didn't want to win. If any of them, it was probably going to be The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which was the one that I was really, really hoping for. But every answer is a win because I wouldn't have put them on there if I didn't think that I didn't want to read them. So giving this one a go. The next category of books was A Throne of Swans, The Queens of Innislayer, Spinning Silver, and The Final Empire. So the first three are YA fantasy. The last one, I don't know if it's YA adult. You can't really tell with Brandon Sanderson novels. These are the results. I honestly thought this was going to go to Spinning Silver or The Queens of Innislayer. I did not think The Final Empire was going to do as well as it did, and I'm secretly gutted because that's the one that I didn't want to read because it is a whole chunk of a book. It is humongous. I have reread this about 6 years ago and I got this far into it, and I put it down because I wasn't enjoying it because I just didn't understand. I have a degree and a master's degree from one of the best universities in the UK, and this book totally stumped me. I just did not know what I was reading. I don't know if it's just because I wasn't in the right mindset to read something as complicated as an adult fantasy book, or what it was. I just didn't understand who the characters were. I couldn't follow the plot. I didn't know what was going on. You can call me thick if you want. I don't care because I didn't get it. Like, I have read a good over a quarter of this book, and I can't tell you anything about it other than it has a magical system based on metals. That's it. Like, the back also doesn't help, but it's a nice cover. I have over 10 Brandon Sanderson novels. I need to start working my way through them. Although I do want to make a quick point that I am very hesitant in promoting Brandon Sanderson because of his historical remarks about the LGBTQ plus community, and that seems to have been very forgotten, and them comments were extremely hurtful, extremely traumatizing to read as someone as part of that community. Even though he has since come out, I believe, and said that he doesn't necessarily have the same belief anymore. That's all I have to say about Brandon Sanderson at the moment, but I am still willing to read the novels that I have. I just haven't made my mind up about if I want to continue to financially support his books in the future. And the last one totally shocked me. It just seemed like the most random choice, but this one was the one that won by the landslide. I had 5 Dark Fates, which is the final book in the 3 Dark Crown series, The Bone Season, Sleeping Giants, and Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. And these are the results here. The Bone Season one, which honestly blew my mind. I was supposed to read this for a TBR a couple of months ago, but just didn't get around to it because I had a lot to read that month. I was far too ambitious as per usual. This book, it's a fantasy crime book. If you don't recognise the author's name, this is a very old novel by the author of The Priory of the Orange Tree, which I read and absolutely loved. It's a great standalone fantasy work and I would highly recommend it. And I knew of this book since it came out, but it wasn't until I read The Priory of the Orange Tree that I really wanted to read something else by this author, that my interest was piqued. Genuinely, I thought her writing style was very good and her books are well written. Because the back doesn't tell me a lot, I'm actually going to just give this a quick Google. I didn't expect this one to win, so I never prepared to actually talk about this book. This is a supernatural dystopian book. The year is 2059. 19-year-old Paige Mahoy is working in the criminal underworld of London, based at Seven Dials, employed by a man named Jason Hall. Her job is to scout information by breaking into people's minds. She's attacked, drugged and kidnapped one day and transported to Oxford, a city kept secret for 200 years, controlled by a powerful otherworldly race. And essentially she's trying to regain her freedom from this city. That's literally what Wikipedia tells me, which is totally different to what the back says, even though the back doesn't say that much. So I honestly just don't know what to expect. But I have a lot of faith in Samantha Shannon after reading her other works. So I guess I'm excited for this one as well. Even though this one is also nearly 500 pages. If you add all this up, I'm starting to question whether I can actually read all this. This is so ambitious considering it is chaotic Leo season. So on top of finishing a book that I'm already reading and finishing off my last TBR, this is the amount of pages that I have to read with a full-time job. Thank you to everyone that's watching, subscribing, liking, engaging with my content. You can find me on other social media platforms, and I would honestly love to reach 2,000 subscribers by the time my birthday comes round, which is super ambitious. I know, probably not gonna happen, but I think that's honestly could make a birthday in 2020 just extra special. Let me know in the comments what you're reading this month as well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!